Hello everyone, welcome to this CS2 online typing where we are conducting the 5th class for today. And in the previous classes what have we covered is basically we have covered basic MS Word shortcuts and we have covered normal subscript and superscripts. I have also taught you the basics of using equation editor and all. So guys, by now, by 5th class, I am expecting that you have already watched my first 4 videos and you are now comfortable with writing the equations, writing some complex equations as well, and now your speed of typing is also increases. But please make sure you are practicing a lot because typing requires practice. Similar to mathematical questions, solving typing is something which you require to solve, type at the moment. Otherwise, just watching the class and doing 1-2 questions and thinking, okay, I'll write everything in the exam at the first go, that's not gonna happen. So please practice most, okay. Now, what content do we have covered in our previous classes? We have covered our unit of survival models. We have also covered the unit of Markov where we learned how to paste a matrix basically. I have taught you different ways of pasting a matrix, right? A particular video designed for it. So, if you have not watched it, please go through it again. Then we have also completed our risk models and all. So, basic chapters we have already done. Now, we would require 2 to 3 more classes to complete our whole content of typing and so that we can cover all the things basically. Today's target of the class is basically the graduation and statistical test unit. Basically, we have 3 chapters in that: graduation and statistical test, mortality projection, and third one is methods of graduation. So, the last 2 chapters, that is basically mortality projection and methods of graduation, are not so typing oriented, they are more of a theoretical chapters. So, I didn't find a particular notation or a specific notation that I should teach you guys, but in case if you feel like there is something I have missed or there is something you want me to type, you can simply comment it down, you can inform our team, and then I can solve that in the later classes, okay. So, for today we will be doing a question of methods of graduation and statistical test, graduation and statistical test, where basically we have a chi-square test, we have a table oriented thing. So, I will also teach you how to copy paste the tables. If you are not allowed, for example, if you are giving from IAI exam and if you are not allowed to use Excel in your exams, so how to do the same using the table functionality in your Word itself, clear? And then also I will teach you how to specifically mention the null hypothesis, because that also contains specific marks. Question specifically says if they are asking you to do a statistical test, they are expecting that it is implicit you are writing the null hypothesis very clearly. Alternate hypothesis is secondary thing, you can skip that, but the null hypothesis is something very important. Almost 1 mark is assigned to it, so why lose for that 1 marks when you can grab that mark, okay. So, we will be doing that. Then also I will be talking about all the notations that are required in all the texts, for example, serial correlation test and ISD test, okay. So, yes, let us get started with our class. Any doubt anyone, please comment it down below the video and I will be taking up your doubts, don't worry about that, clear guys. So, I will not be going with a particular question from my book, I just have a table written here, okay. So, a similar table you will be creating. So, first for those who can use Excel, who want to copy paste the tables from the Excel. So, I have already created a table for you guys, you can similarly create a table. Now, can you see Excel do not use subscript and superscript easily, I have to use these keys again and again and it would be so time taking. So, I didn't put extra efforts in putting the subscript and superscript, and IFoA and IAI do not ask for your extra efforts as well, okay. A minimum amount of typing is required so that your script is understandable, that's it. You don't need to decorate your script, you don't need to make highly effective script, just a normal script is required. So, can you see I can't use theta because I have to go to insert the theta sign. So, what I did was I simply write theta in words. Now, for going the subscript, I have already told in my previous classes that this underscore sign shows my subscript and this inverted V sign shows my superscript. So I'll use these signs to denote that, to and make the examiner understand that okay, I'm writing subscript, okay, I'm writing the superscript. Clear? So can you see theta underscore x? It means theta, and I have x in the subscript. Now if you are writing directly in the Word, and if you want to use subscript and superscript, that's quite easier than in doing in Excel. So you can do that, okay? Or even if you are doing from Excel and you don't want to write like this, so what you can do is you can leave spaces for these. When you copy paste your table in the Word, then you can use the equation editor and normal approach that I have taught you guys, and you can write the equations in their original form. Clear? Similarly, mu x, similarly I have ECX. Now can you see what is the format of ECX? ECX is basically ECX. So C is in the superscript and I have X in the subscript. So basically, can you see, I have done ECX in the similar way. I have C at the superscript, so I have raised this C, and then I have subscript X, so I just X, okay. And then we have multiplication here, so I just simply wrote ECX into mu x and I calculated this. So okay, what are the basics of this calculation? That's not gonna covered in a typing class, because these are not technical class. So consult your subject teacher for that. So we will just simply control C. We have copied the equation. So can you see this dotted line? This dotted line in Excel basically shows that okay, your content is copied or cut. Okay, so I'll use copy because in case there is some error that is happening in my Word file, I have a supplement here. Okay, so please make sure you're using copy and paste rather than cut and paste. Then I'll do paste. Now when you click on the right hand side, you can see various paste options here. Okay, I would recommend use Control V first. Control V is the best thing I can recommend you guys, but sometimes what happen is some students might be getting this format when they are pasting the Control V. They might be getting some different formats as well while they are using Control Copy, Control C and Control V, and if it is not that presentable, so what you can do is either you can keep source formatting, either using destination side. So you can check these 1, 2, 3, 4 things, right? I would not recommend pasting as picture. Why? Because if you are pasting as picture, you won't be able to make any change to your table in the Word. Clear? So if you are pasting as picture, you won't be able to change the things at the Word. You have to go to your Excel file, you have to change there, you just copy paste again, then only you will be able to make the change. So that's why I don't recommend students to use this picture. So I would recommend the first option only if they are using the paste special. This is called paste special basically. So if you are using the paste special, then I would recommend first option, and in most cases Control C, Control V always gives you the normal formatting. So go for that. Clear? Is this clear? Any doubts regarding the pasting, guys? Now for those who cannot use Excel in their exam, go to your insert, go to your table, just insert the table, just put in the values that you actually want. Now to add on a row or a column, for adding a column you can see hover just at the top of the first row, you can see a plus sign, click on that, you can add as many columns as possible. Similarly at this you can move your table as well, but I would not recommend again moving the table because it will change your formatting of the text content as well. Clear, guys? So I hope this table and all is clear. Now also if you are calculating this, how did you calculate this ECX? How did you calculate this mu x? If they are subjective to your calculations, if not given in this equation, and you need to calculate any of the value in this tables book, in this in this table, so how will you show it? You have to show the formula as well. You can't expect the examiner to reward you full mark if you are not writing the formulas and if you are only giving him this table. Okay, so if this table is something which you have created in Excel, which you are creating directly, you have done some calculations in a calculator, you have to basically show the formula based on that calculation. Clear? For example, for this column, the calculation, the formula showing is not required. Why? Because it is simply the product of my third column and fourth column, and I have specifically mentioned it at the start. Okay, So for this the formula is not required, but for any of the column, for example, if you are calculating ECX in some different way using some formula and then only you are getting these values, so this requires formula mentioning at the end of the table. Clear guys? Is this clear? So shall we move forward to how to actually write my null hypothesis and all? So your question is basically you have to conduct a chi-square test, graduation test for this table only. So let's do this. So first I have to write the null hypothesis. Now null hypothesis is H0 or H0 we basically say. So either I can write this H0 common, okay, so this is also acceptable format of H0, that is null hypothesis, or control shift minus using the subscript also you can do that, okay. If you don't want to use subscript then also it's okay, H0 is also consulted as null hypothesis. Similarly for H1 you can also do this, okay. Clear guys? So H0 and then you can write your null hypothesis. So let me write what is the null hypothesis going to be here. Just a second. So yes, for my graduation for my chi-square graduation test, I will say my graduated rates come from the are true underlying mortality rates for the population, right. So my graduated rates are true underlying mortality rates for the population. Now guys, what I would recommend you is that since we have a lot tests, for example we have ISD test, we have science test, we have chi-square test, we have deviations test. So I would recommend please prepare all the prepare the null hypothesis for all these tests before the examination, so that during the exam you don't need to think about the language of your null hypothesis, because this is something you have to mention, otherwise you will be deducting you will be penalized over it. So why not prepare it in the advance, okay. So I would say that statements like these which are not going to change irrespective of your calculations, so please prepare them in the advance. That is gonna help you in the exam very much, trust me. Clear? So now let's calculate our ZX basically. So how can we write the ZX? Let me tell you from normal approach as well, from the equation editor approach as well. First let us write equation editor approach. So alt equal to get the equation editor, Z underscore X space bar. We have theta x minus ECX and mu naught x in the numerator. So since we have more than one term, we will use brackets. So backslash theta underscore x space bar minus E, this sign C underscore x, we have this ECX, then we have mu. So I would recommend use a star to show this mu, then I have dot, so mu naught and I have x. Clear guys? Brackets closed. Similarly we have square root, so backslash square root, then I have this, then I have this star backslash mu backslash dot double space and I have x. Brackets closed and a space bar. Clear? Everyone done till now? Okay. So if I am writing from the normal approach, what I can do is I will write simply Zx control Z because it capitalized is equal to, now this is the brackets for my numerator, then I have theta x E C x, otherwise you can use subscript and superscript as well, that also I will show you, okay. Then I have mu x brackets close, then we have we'll use the square roots. What is within the square root? E C x, we have mu x brackets close, okay. You can ignore this dot basically here which is mu naught, so you can ignore this, okay, that is also acceptable. So control shift minus x control shift minus is equal to brackets backslash theta control shift minus, we have x control shift minus for coming to the normal script. Then we have E control shift plus to go to the subscript, control shift minus to come to the normal script, control shift minus to come to the normal script. Then we have backslash mu, then we have control shift minus, we have x control shift minus brackets closed. Then we have sqrt square root brackets open. Similarly, we can just control shift plus C, control shift minus to go to the subscript, then we have control shift minus to come back to the normal script, then we have backslash mu, backspace and control shift minus X. Okay, so in this way also you can write this. Clear guys? Now coming to the summation thing. So backslash sum, either I can use this Z, control shift plus, square, control shift minus X, control shift minus is equal to whatever it is coming. For example, for this it is coming 15.53. Okay. Now there is something you have to sometimes write chi-square thing. So the theoretical portion, that whether the test is accepted or test is failed, that's your portion to do. That's not I am going to teach you, but there is something you can be required to type chi-square. So how to write chi-square? So backslash chi, chi. So space bar when you give, so now you have to put in square. So control shift plus, so put in square. Control Z you also paste, because otherwise if it is the start of my text, it will convert into capital X. Okay, so that's why make sure you are hitting control Z if it is converting into capital X. Okay, so putting in the df, so control shift minus I can put in 6. Otherwise in equation editor, alt equal to backslash chi, then we have square in there, then we have for example m degrees of, or as in nu, backslash nu. Okay. Clear guys? So this is something you can write chi-square as well. I hope this test is clear to you. I am giving you 2 minutes to complete this, and then we can move forward to our further test. I will show you the formula, how to write the formulas for this, because in the exam if this is not given in your tables book, well these are given in your tables book, so you can use the referencing simply. You do not need to write the formula, but still if you are required to do that, how to write it, I will tell you. Quickly, there is one more test left, serious correlation test, that involves heavy equation. So I will tell you how to write this heavy equation. Yes, let us move forward. So I have serial correlation test. Keep ensure that you are hitting control plus S for a sufficient amount of time. Okay, this is something that should be very implicit while you are giving an actuarial exam. So alt equal to, I have R1, so R1 is equal to brackets, again a bracket for my 1 upon m minus 1. Okay, so this 1 upon m minus 1 comes. So let me remove 1 brackets from here. Yes, then I have sum, so backslash sum, what are my limits? I have I is equal to 1, brackets open, then we have m minus 1, so again I will use brackets, space bar, then I have zi minus z bar, so backslash bar, I hit bar 2 times, okay, bar, and I have dot, I have 2 dots, I have 3 dots, these requires 2 space bar to get exactly over my letter, otherwise they will be at the right side of my letter, not exactly over. Okay, so space, and then now you can see I have already told you in the reinsurance thing, so I need to come out of this blue bar, otherwise it is still considered within my sum. So if I for example put in enter, so this will happen. Okay, so to avoid this, what I will do is I will use my forward arrow key to come out of it, but now I require something else which is also again in my sum. So first let me write this. Now I have I plus 1, so I will use brackets, then minus z bar again, brackets close. Now I need to come out of it, now I need to put in another brackets, so my bracket will enlarge. Now there might be some students, if you are typing this and if you are not getting enlarged brackets, then the error might be that your bracket, the last bracket is basically inside your blue bar only. Okay, that's the issue, it won't enlarge. So make sure you are coming out of this blue bar using the forward arrow key, and then only you are putting the bracket sign. Okay guys, we have denominator as well, so sorry I forgot the denominator. So in the denominator I have 1 by m, so space, then we have sum, so backslash sum, underscore I is equal to 1 to m I have, then we have zi minus z bar, 2 spaces, brackets closed, when we have a square in there. Okay, forward arrow key, brackets closed, again a space bar. Clear guys? So this is something you must know. I thought that I should teach you guys. So all your statistical tests are basically covered, because this was something which was a little difficult. Yes, there is one more thing. If I am testing the smoothness of my data, so there is smoothness or undergraduation. If I have to check the third difference of my graduated rates. Clear? So how to write those third difference? So we have delta sign, not this delta, capital delta. Okay, small delta, if your D is small, so it will give me this sign, but if I want this sign triangle, so I will get capital delta. Clear guys? Now to put in the value here, you can simply control shift plus, square control shift minus, whatever you want to put in. Then we have, let's say for example, let me write the third difference only. So cube, then we have mu, control shift minus x is equal to, now let's write this in equation writer. For those students who are using equation writer, again you have to use capital delta. Okay, then we have square in there, then we have backslash mu. If we are having dot as well, so let's write dot as well. Then we have x plus 1 in the subscript, so I will use brackets obviously, minus delta, sorry, backslash delta, capital D. Okay, then we have square, and then we have mu naught x. So dot, and we have x. Okay, so there was this also. This basically to check my undergraduation or overgraduation using the third difference. So I have also covered that in my class. Clear guys? So this was it for today. We have basically covered our graduation unit as well. If you are having any particular doubt regarding the anything general regarding typing as well, anything specific regarding this question or this topic as well, you can comment it down in the video. You can ask our team. Okay, I'll get back to you. Don't worry about that. Okay guys, so let's wrap up the class for today. Have a nice day guys.